Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I've got some surprising brand new tweets from Ripple CTO David Schwartz, who is also co-creator of the XRP ledger. He ends up talking about, and I think it's maybe 7 or 8 different tweets, but he talks about, well, a couple things. Why he purchased Ethereum initially, which is fascinating, but it was within the context of a bigger discussion, which I really found interesting, because there have been these charges, of course, and perhaps you've heard it explicitly stated like this, just the concept of XRP being an ICO. And of course, ICOs didn't even exist when XRP was created, but David Schwartz hopped into a conversation on Twitter and really took the people to task that were spouting some of this nonsense, so I want to share that with you. I think I'll lead with that on this particular video, but additionally, I have a brand new article from AMB Crypto titled, Ripple's David Schwartz Predicts Diversification in Blockchain Landscape in 2020. And then I'm going to wrap up the video with this article from You Today titled, Bitcoin is the only asset class in the world that is not rallying, says Peter Schiff. Oh yes, our favorite gold bug, seller of yellow rocks. That's gold. Peter Schiff. And by the way, of course, I know it's metal. I'm just saying. It's funnier to call it a yellow rock. But especially in the context, okay, fine, maybe as of late, market's not been so hot, but in 2019, Bitcoin is up, what, somewhere in the neighborhood of 100%, something like that, so, but whatever. I'm not here to defend Bitcoin. I don't care. This is an XRP-centric channel, damn it. If you don't like that, you can get out. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and if you just so happen to be a fan of Ripple and XRP, go ahead, do yourself a favor, and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. Because if you do that, we can be friends. Maybe even best friends. Let's just see how this unfolds. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. So here's the tweets. Let's just jump right in. They're in 2 different threads, so I'm going to do my best to keep this straight. So where did this stem from? Well, there's a tweet from Larry Cermak here. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter because I don't need to click on this. I've seen this guy before. I'm not going to get it. It doesn't matter. So here's what Larry Cermak tweeted out. If Ripple ever somehow makes it work as a payments company, excuse me, it will be the equity holders that benefit and the XRP holders holding a massive bag. XRP is a revenue-generating mechanism for Ripple, nothing else. Ripple has so far sold $1.2 billion in XRP, majority of its revenue. And so somebody named Peter Todd went ahead and retweeted that. And Peter Todd wrote this. XRP, like almost all ICO coins, doesn't need to exist and gives you no real rights to anything. Its purpose is to make Ripple money by selling it to suckers. So, Moon Lambo here, myself, I'm definitely a sucker. I'm continually a sucker because I continue to purchase XRP. Now, of course, since it's not an ICO, I'm not actually buying it from Ripple, just buying it from somebody else on the open market. But hey, I'm a sucker and so are you, right? Because we're buying XRP. Now, Michael Nardolillo responded, yet XRP isn't an ICO at all. You know this. Now, there's a tweet that's unavailable here, and even when I checked this earlier today, it was already available by that point, so I don't know what it was. I don't know who wrote it. Maybe it was this Peter Todd guy, but it's wrong, so I can't add additional context. But we got another tweet from Michael Nardolillo who wrote, no, it wasn't. An ICO is an initial coin offering, meaning an asset is issued before a network exists. This never occurred with XRP. Now, David Schwartz jumped in, and so he must have just came across this on his own because he wasn't tagged in this. He just jumped right on in. And so, now you done messed with the heavyweight, son. So here's what David had to say. He wrote, you will not find any individual who bought XRP because they wanted Ripple to have money to do stuff to enrich them. We were financed by VC. That's venture capitalists, of course. There was no ICO. He then wrote, the crux of an ICO is that it's a way for a project to raise funds. You buy tokens in an ICO so that the project will be able to continue. Ripple was VC/angel funded from day one, and nobody could have bought XRP with a motive of funding us to do things for them. By contrast, when I bought Ethereum in the initial offering, I was doing it because, at least in part, I wanted the project to have funds to build something, and the project needed those funds to build. That is what made it an ICO. Pretty cool, right? Makes sense. Now, I'm going to hop back to this thread, I think, but that was it from David Schwartz in this one. I'm going to head back. I just had a couple other comments from an XRP community member I want to cover, so hopefully I remember that. I'll do my best. So back down here, and I'm sorry, it's just the nature of Twitter. There's more from David Schwartz, but it's just in a different thread. So let me read. So this is the first tweet that David Schwartz put out. Let me reread it, and then I'll tell you what the response was from somebody else in this thread. So David Schwartz tweeted out, "You will not find any individual who bought XRP because they wanted Ripple to have money to do stuff to enrich them. We were financed by VC, again, venture capitalists. There was no ICO." Now, somebody named I'm the Ripple, the Rippler, rather, responded, "Funny because that's what everyone keeps telling me I did, and I shouldn't complain that y'all dumped the market to hell buying failed startups." Now, David Schwartz responded to that, and he wrote, "You have it half right. They're telling you that's not what you did, and that's why you shouldn't complain. If you were an ICO investor, you should complain if the money isn't well spent, right? Fair point." And then David Schwartz continues, "If you buy Bitcoin from someone, you should not care how they spend the money. You got Bitcoin. It's not an ICO. You just bought it from someone who sold it at market rate." Of course, that's the same with XRP, obviously, here. If you're just buying it from Joe Schmo on, I don't care if it's Binance US or pick your exchange, Coinbase, Uphold, it doesn't matter. But anyway, but then he writes this also. In an ICO, there is no market rate. There is no functional network. You are giving a project money so that it will have money to do particular things you expect your money will be used for. Ripple never asked people to buy XRP so Ripple would have money to do things. And I don't think you'll find anyone who bought XRP because they wanted Ripple to have more money. Again, we were VC/angel financed. Originally, we sold XRP because giveaways failed. And for those of you that aren't aware, they actually did try doing some giveaways way, way, way back in the day, like era 2013, probably mostly the beginning part of that, if memory serves, somewhere around there anyway. And it just wasn't a huge dollar amount. So, and we'll get to that here. So somebody named Sarah responded, "So why sell XRP through exchanges if Ripple does not need money? You contradict your previous statements. XRP was gifted and sold by Ripple to invest in useless startups. Go back and check some of your liar CEO's interview. You and your fake followers have hyped XRP." So, gee, tell me I really think, Sarah. David Schwartz responded, originally because we wanted to get XRP into circulation and giveaways didn't work, the dollar amounts were negligible. You know what's interesting? One of the coolest and most admirable things about David Schwartz is, look, it's Twitter, so you get some serious mean-ass trolls out there, and he always keeps cool as possible. Like, he just stays calm, cool, and collected. He never responds in a way that would seem less than professional. I've always found that rather impressive of him. I think it's a good example, and so I generally try and go that route, generally speaking, right? David then wrote, "You can't build global pools of liquidity that anyone can contribute into and draw out of unless anyone can easily get the asset." So in response to what Sarah was talking about here, and again, she wrote, "So why sell XRP through exchanges? If Ripple does not need the money, you contradict your previous statement." Well, as it pertains to XRP being used as a bridge currency, liquidity's a little bit important. Okay, we're talking about utilizing XRP as a bridge currency in place of traditional Nostro Vostro accounts the world over, those pre-funded accounts. And so, yeah, you need liquidity pools. Those liquidity pools today are exchanges. If there are other liquidity pools out there, I'm not privy to that information, and neither are you. But I don't know that they exist. I suspect they will at some point in the future. You can have entire business models around that, which I think makes all the sense in the world. It'll come. But even just through traditional cryptocurrency exchanges, those already exist, right? That's already there. It's just, the individual writing this, Sarah here, just probably doesn't really know a whole lot about Ripple's plan in utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, because that's one of the first things that you learn when you start looking into this, but that's okay. Let me go back to the original thread here. XRP community member Eric Dedune wrote this. I bought because I think the tech is an upgrade on previous iterations, and I think Ripple plus other participants have a great shot at fulfilling your visions. Sad this is still a debate, but thanks for continuing to participate in these discussions. I'm hoping to avoid them in 2020. It is, however, disappointing to hear that I have contributed nothing to the snack bar. In addition to avoiding these discussions, I will clearly have to reevaluate my investment portfolio in 2020 as well. And then you get other stuff here, like here's a tweet from, I think I read this one before recording, Amp Fury wrote, XRP are de facto shares in Ripple. No one holds XRP out of some cyberpunk anti-establishment idealism. Others are banking on Ripple succeeding and getting XRP used massively as intended. Like it or not, planned by you or not, this is the reality. Well, we're talking about one particular use case here, but it didn't come out of like XRP doesn't exist for the same reason Bitcoin exists. Just as far as ideologically, there was a reason that Bitcoin was created in the first place, right? To replace fiat currencies, essentially. And look, XRP was created by early Bitcoiners. David Schwartz, one of them, one of the three main guys who created it. But it wasn't something that was ideologically driven. It was people that were interested in the technology and wanted to make a better version of Bitcoin, essentially. And it turns out there are actual use cases for this type of technology here, but it can be used for all sorts of stuff. But they're not de facto shares in Ripple, not even close. No. It's just factually inaccurate here. Now, next, here was a tweet. This is cool. All right, this is from XRP Twin. I got to share this with you. Hashtag XRP community, hashtag XRP. Remember this with 3 question marks. The XRP tip bot. And XRP Twin went on in a string of, I don't even know how many tweets. He used the XRP tip bot to tip, if I counted correctly, 262 members of the XRP community just out of nowhere. And see, if you look at your screen, like I'm just scrolling down here. Look at this. See, my page continues to load as I scroll down. Look at this. I just had to, like, this was just, it just kind of blew my mind. I'm one of the people that he happened to have tipped here, and I certainly wasn't expecting that. Very kind. I just had to give a shot at this, because talk about the level of generosity here, and just like in terms of taking the time to do this also, just to say, hey, thanks to this many people in the community. I thought that just absolutely required what I think is a well-deserved shout-out, and just to say, wow, thank you. Impressive. All right, last year, and I'll wrap up the video. Bitcoin is the only asset class in the world that is not rallying, says Peter Schiff. Goldbug Peter Schiff twists the knife in the wounded crypto community by saying that Bitcoin is the only asset that is not rallying at the moment. Euro Pacific Capital CEO Peter Schiff decided to damp the festive mood of the crypto community by pointing to the fact that Bitcoin is the only asset class that is not rallying at the moment. Here's the tweet. Bitcoin is not disappointing those who claim its true value is that it's a non-correlated asset. Every asset class in the world is rallying into the end of the year except Bitcoin. Not sure what value this actually adds, but at least Bitcoin is meeting expectations on something. Now, I thought it was kind of funny, but I will say this. He's just, and I agree with him on tons of stuff. Not anything crypto, really. He's wrong about crypto, but I agree with him on tons of stuff. And the point that he points out how, like, the stock market, it's just a bubble, it's artificially inflated, and this or that. And he is, that is his point of view, and he's pointing out Bitcoin is not doing that. So, not so sure how strong of a case you're making here, since you're really not all for all these debt-driven bubbles anyway. But there we are. Anyway, that's it for this video, though. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!